everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for Chapter 3 of The Verge of the Azure Sea, a Vaesen actual play miniseries. I don't know if you may notice a difference, but there's a lot more people on the screen than there have been for the past two sessions, and that's because we finally have the entire group together. So before we get started, I would like to go ahead and have my awesome group of players introduce themselves. Why don't I go ahead and start with, I believe the person to my left on the overlay is going to be Allan.
Oh. Hi, I'm Allan. I'm going to be playing El Guerrero, a wrestling kind of luchador guy with 100,000 different masks.
I can't wait to see what the next mask is going to be for this. Next up, let's go over to Fluffy.
Hi, I'm Fluffy, and I'll be playing Aoife MacKenna, the whiskey distillery socialite from Ireland. And I'm looking forward to another session.
Fantastic. How about Kelsey?
Hi everyone, I'm Kelsey and I'm playing Saoirse Seeligh, the medical doctor out in the country.
Perfect. And Isabel?
Hi, my name's Isabel and I will be playing private investigator Vera Lindblom.
And how about Sarah?
I am Sarah Darnesk. I am playing Biddy, the village witch, but in the book that is the occultist.
And Adam.
Hello, my name is Adam Joseph Ferry. I'll be playing Dolan Halvorson, the man that just gets into all shenanigans, and he is a performer, so it makes sense.
Fantastic. And my name's Bree. I'm very excited to be the game master for this session, continuing the adventure or the mystery for this particular group of players. Now, where we pick up today is after a bit of a cliffhanger from our last session. We had two groups currently active, the first of which I'll start with a brief synopsis, I guess, of, which would have included El Guerrero, Saoirse, and Vera, who were out in the adjacent town of about like an hour to an hour and a half walk away from where our second group is currently located. They were down in Roundstone, near the coast. There had been some interesting developments within Roundstone that had been brought to Saoirse's attention about some, unfortunately, deceased rabbits that were being located. But oddly so, not just rabbits you'd find on the side of the road that wandered in front of a carriage, or even ones that had been picked up by a wild wolf, for instance, but ones that were hanging from trees and appeared to be, I guess their fur dyed a dark black. Now, Vera and El Guerrero were heading to find Saoirse as a bit of a resource for an ongoing investigation. Oh, and thank you, chat, for letting us know we're a little bit quiet. Let me go ahead and see if I can get us a little bit louder. Hopefully this should help. Now, with Vera and El Guerrero looking into a missing friend from El Guerrero's past, not many leads had been panning out, unfortunately, for the pairing. And meeting with Saoirse, while hoping this will be a good opportunity, is so far their interaction with a fairy hasn't left them in the best of spirits. Specifically, El Guerrero attempting to find answers where one was a bit resistant. Now, as they were heading into the bog, they did come across some of the rabbits that had been mentioned by a hunter. Unfortunately, the situation seems to have escalated, as the hunter had located them within the woods to let them know that a body of a human had been found, and began leading them up to the north to go investigate further. Now, the second group, where we're looking at Biddy, Dolan, and Aoife, they were on a bit of a, I want to say a happier journey to start for compared to the first group. Not necessarily an active investigation ongoing, but more of a ongoing one for Dolan and that Biddy had been assisting with. Now, in Clifton, also a coastal town within Ireland, and please, history buffs, I know I'm not going to get everything right about these locations, so have some leniency. We're talking about Mythic Ireland today. But they were invited to celebrations for some of the local socialites that Aoife knows, specifically one of the Moore brothers, heir to a brewing company within the area. Now, Dolan had been secured as an entertainer for this particular celebration, and also secured Biddy some assistance within the performance. The assistance, which ended up being a seance for the birthday boy's unfortunate late mother. Now, as far as all things could have gone, I feel like they went well, all things considered. A seance was conducted. There was a moment of clarity of the son's mother on the opposite side. A moment being shared, and then a closure. Now, Dolan, in the midst of this, did receive some information from one of the other party goers that they thought they'd seen him earlier that day, but strangely not within town or prepping for any of the party today, but out in the bog. And this had some significance to Dolan, a person who looked almost exactly like him. So, Dolan did what was probably the most logical thing in the moment, and that was to leave the party and to go out into the bog. Dolan, we're going to start with you today. As you adventured out into the bog, I needn't remind you what you found. But actually, let's revisit it. A body. Now, there was a fear check that had been made as you'd seen this dead body, and unfortunately that was a failure, correct? Yes. So, with this, as you did approach the body and flip it over, you recognize this person. A face not like yours. A bit younger than yours, but one you'd seen and spoken with earlier today. Very high cheekbones, chiseled features, some light facial hair that had already grown in, despite being recently shaved. A man who had earlier agreed to give you payment for a particular party. You found the body of Michael, the oldest Moore's son. His body, as it looks up at you, eyes are still open, but the face is drained of blood. Not drained, it's pale. It seems like at this point when you're moving the body, there's already a rigidity to it. You do notice, though your vision does blur for a moment, as I will need you to make a choice. With your failed of a fear check, you are now going to be taking the terrified condition. So, when terrified, you have a choice between 4 actions that you will be taking. But first, I would like you to roll 1d6, and let me know what the result is.
I'm sorry, I'm working on the condition, and you
Oh.
said terrified or frightened?
This is going to be, you won't need to mark this off on your sheet for now, as it's
Okay.
more of a not permanent status.
I understand.
Yes.
Just 1d6?
1d6, and let me know the number.
3.
3. Okay.
Or 3.
So, this essentially would be 3 rounds. I'm going to say that this is going to be about 3 minutes that you're going to have this condition. So, you will have to choose either to first flee. So, you're going to be fleeing immediately from the thing that frightens you, which would be this body. No time to pick things up, talk, or help anyone else. You choose the nearest and fastest way out of this location. The second option is to freeze. So your body will refuse to move. It'll render you completely immobile. You cannot talk or perform any actions whatsoever. And considering you are in a, I would say in a darker area currently, it would take a successful vigilance check for you to be seen by someone. The next option is faint. Just that, your body goes entirely limp, and a veil of darkness will descend over the world. If you are lying or in this dark and concealed area, again a vigilance check will be taken to spot you. Lastly, attack. You would attack the nearest hostile person or creature with whatever weapon or item you're currently holding. For you right now, this might just be your own fists. You lose the ability to make strategic choices, and you will not stop attacking until your perceived enemy is vanquished. You cannot perform any fast actions should you enter combat.
My immediate thought out of all those options is freeze.
Freeze.
Yeah, he was so sure that the first fear was that he was gonna turn the body over and it was gonna be his brother, Duncan, but it wasn't. And now it's just not only the person that brought him over to this party, it was a person who is also a brother, and who also recently suffered a family death. So just a rush of fear and thoughts. And does the look on his face it just looks terrified? Or his eyes are open?
His eyes are open. It looks like there is fear.
And all I can do right now is just freeze. I'll slightly back away, but I'm just frozen in shock and fear.
Absolutely. Now, as you freeze, and it's an unfortunate thing because the thing that's frightening you the most is probably the thing you don't want to be looking at, but you're frozen in place. This figure that you're already familiar with, kind with, but also representing something that's a little bit closer to home than you'd like. It's there in front of you. It's looking at you. It's like its gaze does not break. But not even that, you're starting to notice some of the details on his body. You're noticing some cuts that are across his chest that you didn't quite notice when you had seen the body face down. You're noticing that there is blood that's pooled out, that's since dried, but big, open wounds across his torso and up his neck, in areas that look like were impacted hard. Some areas that mutilated, torn even in areas. And you continue having to stare at it for this time.
It's one of those things where you want to kind of just yell for help, but you really can't.
You can't. And the sounds that are around you is just eerily quiet. It's almost as though the wind that you were accustomed to hearing within this area has died down to where the only thing that's there is this body and your thoughts, your memories, even dreams. And you probably wish this one were, but it's not. Now, Dolan, this goes on for, as I said, 3 minutes, which probably seems a lot longer in the moment. For the sake of expediency, Aoife, Biddy, we had just completed a seance nearby. However, it's completed and some of the party members are starting to realize it's a bit late. Probably turning in for the evening, saying their goodbyes, wishing happy birthday to the reason that they're there. What are the two of you doing?
I know I failed to notice him leaving, but now that everybody's filtering out, could I roll again to see if I realize Dolan's not in the room anymore?
I would say a roll's not necessary at this point. Yes, you would notice he's not in the room.
Then I would probably book it for Aoife as soon as I've gathered up my things and I'm trying to make myself scarce as fast as
Yeah.
possible.
Also, Storyteller, one thing before we continue.
Of course.
We did have someone tailing Dolan.
Yes, you did.
Hmm.
He was a bit behind, but he was tailing Dolan at this time.
So, they'll just find him standing over a dead body.
Yeah.
Not suspicious.
Not at all.
We'll get there, I'm sure. Aoife, have you seen Dolan?
I've been trying to get a hold of you, but couldn't really interrupt. He took off.
You mean he dragged me to this party, and then he just took off without anything?
He,
Seriously, what?
It sounds like he was heading towards the bog.
Why would he be heading towards the bog?
One of the hunter lads had said that they found something there, and it spooked him real proper. So he headed right down towards the bog, and I had someone tail after him, just because it sounds like he was going to be doing something quite foolish.
Well, that's very smart of you. Running out in the middle of the night.
Alone.
All right. Alone, indeed. All right. I have a lantern at my... we stop by my place on the way out. And grab a lantern at least.
That'll be good. I'll head back to my my place and I'll fetch some things. Might bring Rory. He's got a good nose for this sort of thing.
All right. Well, you move faster than I do, so it's likely by the time I get back, you'll catch up with me anyway.
All right. We'll see you then.
Fantastic. So, Biddy, you're heading back to your residence to get a lantern. Aoife, you're going back to your own to get Rory.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
And probably revolver, just in case.
Completely fair. I would say, although Aoife, you do have a bit of time on your side, considering you do have a carriage with Rearden able to be used. Biddy, it's a bit of a walk for you. However, I'd say within probably 20 minutes or so, you are able to do a quick there and back, or at least heading out towards the direction of the bog.
Yeah. I was thinking I don't know if we really placed it geographically, but I was kind of hoping kind of on the way to the bog.
You know what? I like that, and that does make sense actually for Biddy, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So it's kind of less of a out and back and more of a loop around.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Come and catch it, head that way.
Absolutely. Now, while
If I assume you roll up in your carriage.
I'd probably have to walk to your place after getting my brother home.
Seems fair.
So we'll take care of that and then make it as quick as I can over to Biddy's place.
Fantastic. Now, Dolan, I'm gonna jump back over to you. It's been a few minutes, and as you're starting to feel as though like there's that numbness is going away from your fingertips, and you're starting to feel cold again. You're able to start moving a bit more, but then you hear footsteps behind you. Someone coming up, and then you hear a familiar voice of, I believe, Henry, the gentleman you'd spoken with earlier in the evening. Dolan?
Henry!
Dolan?
Henry!
What's that? And his voice starts to get a little bit, a little more high pitched. What are you doing?
Come over here quick. I need help.
And you hear his footsteps start falling a bit faster, and he's walking next to you. He will also need to make a fear check. Considering the sight that's currently in front of you, thankfully there is a success in that. You hear, oh my god.
Is this who you saw?
No, I would, that's Michael, that's not, it was something like you, but what, did you do this?
Of course not. I was in the building the entire time. We need to call constable.
Yeah, we do. Are you okay to stay here?
Huh? Yeah, go. You have a lantern with you. I'm assuming.
He does have one. He's prepared for these situations. He starts stepping back and kind of taking a moment, but then you hear him start running in the opposite direction. Dolan, what are you planning to do?
Henry, be careful out there.
Um,
And I turn back around after I give him that small warning. I don't know. I keep staring at poor Michael, and I just look over everything, and I always I am stuck between wanting to touch the body to examine it, or see what's if there's anything in his hands that he might have had, but not intentionally looking at the look at his face completely. And until like after a couple minutes, I'll finally just make brief looks around to just see any trace of tracks or any other sign of possible life that was here before me.
Absolutely. So if you're looking for tracks or just any signs in general, I'll have you make either an investigation check or a vigilance.
I'll do at least investigation. Just investigation?
Yes.
Okay.
Or vigilance if you would like to use that in place.
I have more in investigation.
Fair then.
So it says 1, but would that actually be 2 or no?
So for investigation, you would be taking with whatever's within the investigation skill, but then also in logic. So I believe you have a 4
logic,
in
yeah.
that.
So it would be
5.
So 1 and 5. Right.
Yes.
One success.
1 success, okay. So as you're glancing around, the first thing that actually gets your attention that seems unnatural, aside from the fact that this is a dead body, rather than footsteps like leading up to his placement, it seems like there's just 2 tracks, as though he was being drugged to that location. And it's not heading out of the bog, it's heading into the bog. They start trailing off the closer you get back to, closer to, like, the edge.
Are his clothes, dirty?
Yeah, the bulk of them are, considering he was face down on the ground. You would notice that there is a very, concentrated amount of, like, moisture, at, like, the, like, calves and below.
Okay. I'll look at his shoes.
Okay.
And look at any kind of I like shoes or his legs to see if there is any kind of course there must have been a struggle, but bite marks or anything like that.
There's definitely
Bites or
indication,
scratches.
yeah, of a struggle. It looks like there's a lot of scuffs against like the toes of his shoes, as though he were kicking. And I would say, considering you had already made a successful investigation check specifically for the markings leading him in, that there appears to be a point in time where there's a lot less resistance in it. Like, the areas may have been a bit more wide in, like, how much dirt and debris was disturbed, and then eventually, like, the struggle definitely ended, and it's just a straight drag. Does that make sense?
Right.
But in terms of, like, bite marks, you don't see any on the legs at all. You do notice that, I wouldn't even say it's necessarily, like, bite marks, but there's tears at flesh across his torso.
Okay. Tears of flesh. I'll stand up once again and just... The grass is really tall, so I tripped over it because I didn't see it. But I guess I'll look in any grassy areas to see if there's any more deep impressions of possible other victims.
And while you're doing that, I'm gonna have you make an additional investigation check for this one. Biddy and Aoife. At this point in time, correct me if I'm wrong, Aoife, were you intending to meet Biddy at her house? Okay. I would say you were able to go home, get Rory if you did need to change, considering you were just at a party, and about to head into a bog. You're able to get over back to Biddy's house.
I'll be entirely honest, probably didn't change just because I don't want to waste too much time.
So as you arrive, I'll be out waiting on the stoop for you. A warmer, less nice shawl around, but Biddy wouldn't have changed either. Just have her knife tucked in a boot and a lantern ready to go.
Fantastic. Now, actually, both of you, could you make vigilance checks for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that's 1. Plus another 3. Plus another 3 for
Very high.
dog.
1 success.
2 success.
Oh, goodness.
Fantastic. And with a success for Henry as well, you hear a voice echoing off. As though he's noticed someone and you recognize it's Henry automatically. At least Aoife does. I don't necessarily know if Biddy did, as you have not communicated with him at the party. But you hear someone yelling, "Help." You do hear that clearly, Biddy. And then, with a vigilance check successful from him, he does notice movement coming from your residence and starts walking towards you. He's probably about a solid 50 feet off at this point, but he's running over and waving. Aoife, he does recognize you immediately, and you see him heading towards you.
What's the matter, lad?
Did you find him? Did you find Mr. Halvorson?
I did. I think he's okay, but Michael's not. I think he's dead.
Wait, Michael?
What do you mean, Michael? He was at the party. What do you mean?
He's in the bog right now.
He-
I need to go get.
He said
Yes.
Yeah. He stepped away when you were doing your séance.
But why did he? Don't worry about that. All right, you go run for the constable. Take your legs. We're going to head that way, so that Dolan's not alone, fool.
Are you gonna be safe? Aoife, he kind of looks down at Rory. That definitely helps.
Yeah. He's a big wolfhound.
We've got the dogs. You've got speed. Go.
Okay, and he kind of takes a moment, but then he does start running. At that point, and kind of heading around a corner. But Biddy and Aoife.
And Biddy's gonna move as fast as she can.
Fantastic.
And I will move as fast as I can in an evening gown and heels.
Fantastic.
In a bog.
It's going to be
Perfect.
maybe a little bit slower, but eventually you do make your way over to that location. Dolan, you do see as you're starting to, and I'm so sorry. What was the result of that investigation check?
The 1 success.
1 success again? Okay, perfect. As you're looking around now still for some more clues or any more footprints at all, you do notice some unique prints that are within the area, actually. 2 different sets. One appears to be cloven hooves, which is a little unusual in terms of the animals that you've noticed within this region. A smaller set of cloven hooves and then a larger set. As you take note of that, there are 2 figures that you can see heading towards you, just very, very dim outline of light from some of the street lights on the edge of town.
I'm guessing I'll recognize the hoop skirt.
I would say yes. It maybe takes you a moment to focus in on, but you do recognize it's Biddy and Aoife walking towards you.
Yes, I'll wave my hands. Oi!
At that, Rory's probably going to take off, running towards him.
No.
Now, Aoife and Biddy, as you start running towards him, towards Dolan, at this point he's walked a little bit away from it, but there is a very clear indication of him having exited the bog at this point, and if you even take a second, you would notice that there were those same description of drag marks heading into the bog.
What on earth are you doing? What happened?
Henry told me he saw someone that looked like me. I'm sorry.
And so you run out alone in the middle of the night?
I haven't seen my brother in 5 years.
No offense, but never mind that. He said there was a body. What happened?
Yes. Over here. Oh God. It's Michael. Something not of this world. Just.
What do you mean not of this world?
Oh. I'm not sure.
Can I look at the body and make whatever the equivalent of a medicine check is?
Absolutely. Biddy, so you're going to assess the body. Aoife, are you going to go look at the body?
I guess so.
Okay, I will need a fear check from both of you. So this is essentially, you can choose to roll with either logic or empathy. There's no bonus, or actually, because you do have friendly companions within the same area, you are going to get bonuses. Unfortunately, Dolan did not have that on his side last time. So you can choose to roll with either logic or empathy, and then add an additional 2 dice to the pool.
All right.
And just straight up logic?
Yep, just straight up logic or empathy, you prefer.
I'm really grateful for that additional 2 because 1 success.
Fantastic.
Wow. Despite having 6 dice, I got 1 success.
1 success? Okay. 1's all you needed, thankfully. So you both do pass. You have a moment of like obvious shock. Even with a warning, seeing a dead body is not always I should say it's never an easy thing. So Biddy, as you're trying to make the equivalency of a medicine check, I actually would have you do a investigation check.
Well, it does look like there actually is medicine. I didn't realize, but I don't know if that would pertain to like checking a body.
Yeah, this medicine I'm going to argue is more so for the act of healing or attempting to assist with a heal.
1 success.
Okay, fantastic. And can you describe what Biddy's doing? What is she attempting to like ascertain right now with this?
I assume pool of blood. It's pretty obvious. Actually dead. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then, as non-disruptive as possible, kind of conscious of like, do not want to touch because we've just sent someone for a constable.
Mm-hmm.
So but in the sense of wanting to get a sense of what the wounds are, and then I don't know if I can like simultaneously make a history or knowledge and like see if it would match up with anything I would know of. If he says it feels weird, is there something in the background of my mind that these wounds might bring to mind?
Tracks, yeah. I mentioned that the cloven hooves.
Okay, yes. If there was mention
there aren't, I assume to my knowledge, bog deer.
Bog deer. It's not entirely.
Bog deer.
Yeah, I would say that does seem reasonable. As you're being mindful and kind of just like looking over it, it's very obvious that he's deceased at this point. You would assume the many open wounds on his torso and up towards his neck would have been the cause. As Dolan points out some of the different hooves that he's seen. At first, it's... Would you... Actually, yes. Could you make a... Either a learning or an additional investigation check. I'm going to give you a +1 on this particularly.
Okay. Just one. I'm not doing great tonight.
Well, 1 is still a success. As you are trying to think back on some like creatures of folklore and thoughts of like old tales, there are a couple things that come to mind. You've heard of one that immediately comes to mind is a some sort of shapeshifter. If one moment, additional resource. Okay. For instance, pukas come to mind with cloven hooves. You would know that maybe pukas are generally shapeshifters. They do leave a cloven hoof footprint when they're in their natural state. You've always heard of them to be tricksters, more than anything. Not necessarily aggressive, but ones that are more so just there to make things incredibly inconvenient for everyone else around them. But you do recall old tales of forest protectors, of nature protectors, even protectors of creatures, specifically, of nature. Whether that be tales of something like the Lady in Green, who was told to be a beautiful woman, but hiding what looks like the legs of a goat, or
What I was kind of wondering,
yeah.
with the investigation check, would I be able to tell if the chest wounds look more like claws or like points of antlers? Because I was thinking of a particular protector.
Understood. You would say it looks almost like both. It looks like there's some impacts within it that are like punctures, but not necessarily clean enough around the edges. As someone who has used a knife in order to, get your own meals, you're used to seeing how those knives cut. That does not look applicable in this instance. They're rough.
Well, Dolan, I do believe your instincts are right. All right, no one touch the body. If there's a constable coming, there's no need for anyone to have quite literally blood on our hands. Now, while we wait, 1, keep an eye out, and 2, tell me what on earth you were doing. You said something about your brother?
Henry was talking to me, and he told me that he thought I was out in the bogs earlier. He saw someone out in the bogs that looked like me. I couldn't ignore that.
Of course not. But it is very late, and you shouldn't have come alone. You shouldn't have come without a light, or do you even have a weapon of any kind on you?
I believe I took my pistol with me. Yeah.
I feel like you say that out loud, and then like, oh yeah, here it is.
Yeah, no. That would make sense because I was just so terrified when I saw it. Yeah. Here.
All right, you fool, put it down, but keep it ready. There's all kinds of things that this could be, but I do think your instincts are right. I don't know what else we should do other than, again, keep an eye out on the forest, and let's hope that constable gets here. I don't know what to entertain her, an old lady in a No offense, my dear, but socialite could do.
Don't worry. No offense taken.
That dog of
Um,
yours,
John.
though, does he track well?
He's trained for hunting, so he's got quite a nose on him.
I would like to carefully, and if I can, surreptitiously, in a sense of like, I don't want the constable to know what I've done, but I would like to cut a little bit of cloth with my little dagger from near one of the cuts on Michael's chest.
Absolutely. You can do that.
Oh no. Have we lost you again?
Oh, yes, you can
There we
do
go.
that.
Great.
And
Do I need to roll anything, or we can just do that stealthily?
you can do that. I don't think that'll be an issue. Especially considering you are all the only ones currently present. I will say, if you're waiting for the constable, it will take probably about like 10 minutes before you do see anyone else coming up. But eventually you do hear people joining you. And now you may be familiar with the constable. We're going to be looking at Jack Boland as the constable that's reporting. There's several people that do come along with them. Unfortunately, people are nosy, and so even if they're not directly there, people are starting to be along the edge of the road, kind of glancing down every now and again, even though they're a ways off.
One of those people wouldn't happen to be John, would they?
John, make a vigilance check.
I hope not. This is logic. Fail.
Fail. As you're glancing around, it's really dark out, and it's very difficult to see. All the figures are kind of blending together for you. A small group is forming. Very small, considering the time of night it is. Not everyone's just out walking around. But
As soon as people are coming up, Biddy's gonna try to be as far from the body as is unsuspicious, but like, you know, trying to fade into the background a bit. Probably pulling Dolan a little bit backwards as well, but like, he should stay alert and ready to listen if the constable asks questions.
As you're pulling me back, I'll let you know. We'll have to eventually tell John.
Maybe we'll see if Aoife would do that. I don't know that I feel like I'd be the most welcome presence on doing so, and I don't think you should either.
Oh, I agree.
It's very strange when the party entertainment then comes to tell you your brother's died.
I agree.
Distressing.
It's
now,
gonna be a good night.
as the constable appears and Henry is with him, kind of directing him towards the area, he immediately goes over to the body, takes a moment to kind of, you see it, like, him take a really deep breath in, and he kind of glances away. His face looks, obviously, incredibly sad. But he looks over and starts assessing the situation. He's talking to Henry, kind of telling him, try to get people away from here. Who was the first person that you saw, and he kind of points over towards you, Dolan. So kind of glances over. You do notice that Henry starts walking up to the three of you. He says, Dolan, the constable's going to want to talk to you.
Hey.
Go on.
It's, you just wait here for a minute, but don't leave.
Of course.
He kind of starts looking around. I don't know who's gonna... The constable will talk with you about it. And he starts walking off. He starts going over to the crowd that's forming and kind of pushing people away, telling them to, leave the area. To varying degrees of success, depending on how belligerent people are becoming. Aoife, could you make a vigilance check for me?
I certainly can do that. 1 second. Vigilance is logic. 2 successes.
Okay, fantastic. So as you're kind of standing back a little bit, but glancing over, kind of just keeping an eye on your surroundings, just being very aware of what's occurring, as another individual walks up and kind of helps the constable start moving the body. They do appear to be taking it from this location and likely back into town, attempting to get it concealed away from everyone else. You do notice something that's left in where the body had been initially that wasn't picked up by Dolan or Biddy. But you do notice some smushed small mushrooms that are in a circle.
Do they look out of place, or?
It's a little not out of place. You notice that there are mushroom circles within this area. This one, aside from the one you've just noticed, you don't see anyone else or any other ones specifically nearby, but you've seen them before on the outskirts of town.
All right. Biddy, is this, and I'll point out the mushrooms, is this sort of thing uncommon around this bog, or is this something to be aware of?
I have my own thoughts on it, but do I need to roll anything history brief or Biddy's knowledge?
I would say that's not necessary, considering the fact that you are both aware specifically of these types of locations and your foraging skills. I'd say within a circle, it's indicating something else is present.
Mushrooms, of course, are fairly common everywhere, particularly in the bog. But in a circle, that's usually indicative of a place the Fae or others have been, or could be, and I wouldn't usually recommend landing yourself inside of one. Although it's interesting with the drag marks, I almost wonder if the circle appeared around him and not him walking into it. I'm not really certain, but I don't like it, especially not with the marks on his chest and the marks on the ground and those rabbits that we were thinking about this morning. It's all very strange to me and disturbing.
What is going on with the rabbits?
Oh, yeah, Dolan knows more. He had some newsletter. A town over, they're finding rabbits strung up on trees, covered in tar. Seems ritualistic and, again, strange to me.
That is very strange.
I don't like it. I don't like it altogether. Don't go near the mushrooms. At least stay out of the ring of them.
All right. That's good to know. We'll certainly do that.
Come on then, let's go have a cup. And then we'll all get some sleep and we'll come back to this in the morning, but I do wonder if someone other than the constable should break the news.
We'll have to see how this goes. Honestly, between the two of us, I don't really necessarily trust Mr. Halvorson to be going home safely tonight without someone being there. So I'd rather like to stay until we can see him home.
Oh, well, you're all welcome to mine. It's closer anyway. We'll do a hot cup of tea, but again, do you think you ought to go find John first?
I think we should have a better idea of what's going on before we break the news to him. He did just recently lose his mother, so I'm a little worried about how this might go.
I know, but if they're dragging the body, someone else is going to get there first is all.
I will be honest, I think it might be best for the constable to break the news because they've got experience with this more so than we do.
I'm not all in favor of that experience, but that's fine. If you think that's what's best, then we'll leave it. Come to mine. I'll make us a hot cup.
All right.
again, for the sake of expediency, the body is removed from this location. It's taken back, specifically as you assume, to be assessed. There's some additional people who come out and start looking around the general area, trying to just gather as much information as they can. And the constable does come over to Dolan before leaving. Asks a series of quick questions, just when you had located the body, if anyone else was present, like the time frame that you had last seen him, as he was, as Henry had mentioned, at that same party earlier that evening. So you're able to impart, if you choose to, provide accurate answers to him.
As accurate as possible, though I don't know if I realize the 3 minutes that I was frozen, if that matters.
That makes sense.
So it probably just felt like I just saw the body and just started crying for help.
Absolutely.
In my mind.
I assume we could vouch for the time that, he certainly was with us too long to have been present for this.
Mm-hmm. And as oh, sorry, go ahead, Aoife.
I was just going to say, I'll mention the last time I saw him at the event, right before the seance was taking place.
And there's some mention throughout the conversation of Henry having let him know that he'd seen you, Dolan. So at this point in time, you're not feeling as though you're being suspected of anything. However, he does say, please try to, stay readily available in case I do have any more questions in the morning. But please do try to go get some rest. Just please don't relocate out of this city.
Constable, I've got a cot over at my place, and I don't think that the lad should be alone tonight. So the 3 of us might keep company this evening. You can find him over at my cottage.
He imparts his thanks, and does head back into town. So, with the 3 of you,
before we leave, sorry, real quick.
For sure.
Can I check for any doorways? Anything open? Anything visible?
Ooh, yes. Go ahead and make an investigation check. Or if there's another check you feel more relevant with Biddy, please let me know.
Observation is empathy, and I have a higher ability there.
I would say, yeah, you can use an observation for this one.
Great. Despite 5 dice, not a success.
Okay.
Not a 1.
As you're walking around, you're not noticing any unusual glow, any indication of a pathway, if you will. But you do recognize that circle of mushrooms to indicate one specific thing. Otherwise, it's no doorways are currently being opened or closed. Is there anything else the 3 of you are doing before heading back to Biddy's?
If I'm honest, once I get back to Biddy's, before the tea, I might relieve myself outside of Biddy's before going inside.
Fair. Yeah. Completely understandable considering the circumstances. As you head inside, one final vigilance check from the 3 of you for this evening.
It's 1 success.
3 successes.
Wow.
I'm gonna switch dice. I got nothing.
Nothing for Biddy? Okay. Let's see here. Alright. So, as you're all, I assume, Biddy's set up to house a few people, getting to varying levels of comfort to attempt to rest after drinking some tea. Biddy, it seems like, although a very unusual night, It's just your residence is as it always is. You're able to fall asleep without a problem, and dream of what you choose. Dolan, as you are attempting to close your eyes, maybe attempt to get comfortable as best you can, there's just this continued feeling of something else being with you right now. So you toss and turn. It's not the most restful night of sleep that you've had. But all things considered, I don't think that was unexpected. Aoife. Things just seem like nothing wants to let you sleep. It's small rustles being heard outside. Even if it's just a leaf that's brushing against the window, it seems like everything's just elevated for you. It's incredibly loud, and even if the whatever you're sleeping on is typically comfortable, you just don't seem to find a way to fall asleep easily. It's a hard night for you, Aoife. But the next morning does eventually come. And, wouldn't you know it, the next morning, there are 3 other investigators who were in a bog, looking around, trying to see exactly why some rabbits were being left near some mushroom circles hanging above them. And then they were given word of a body that's just been found. And they're being directed up towards, wouldn't you know it, Clifton, specifically. Vera, El Guerrero, Saoirse, we're going to go back to you now. You were about 45 minutes away, and it was about late morning by the time that you'd finally been found by Rachel, the hunter who had previously spoken with you, Saoirse, and let you know about the new discovery. She starts heading up towards the northwest, and it's a easier trek with her there. She's very familiar with the surrounding area. As you are heading up there, was there anything that you were going to be doing as you are traveling or traversing through the bog?
Probably, if anything, trying to collect any kinds of useful specimen for medicine.
Ooh, okay.
And there's a good chance that I might be trying to mark the path to make sure that we know which way we came.
Fantastic. Is there a particular way that Saoirse likes to mark pathways to keep track of her location?
Yes, I feel like she likes to maybe just carve a little sigil, like either into stones or into tree trunks, and she probably leaves berries or other types of little small fruits around those areas, specifically as a potential offering to any kind of Vaesen who might live there, so that they don't go messing up my sigils and tell me to go in a totally different direction.
Absolutely. So you are able to do that maybe every few minutes or so, stop momentarily just to do that, or not stop the entire group, but you very quickly try to do that and then catch up with them. El Guerrero, what are you doing throughout this?
I'm just following Vera.
Okay.
Whatever she's doing, I'm gonna help her.
Fantastic. Vera, what will you be doing?
I mean, I think maybe in the beginning, I feel like we already sort of interviewed Rachel and we got information out of her. So I think if she doesn't have anything more to share, I would be just trying to stay observant of the path we're looking at, look for anything unusual, look for any sign of Vaesen or any other sort of disturbances in the area as we're traveling through. Also trying to keep an eye out because we knew that the mushroom circles with the rabbits sort of formed a large ring around the bog. So trying to maybe see if we see any more and maybe marking in my if we see any, marking my notebook if there's a pattern that we can confirm.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't mind, would you make your choice either an investigation or an observation check?
I will do investigation, which is
Can me helping her give her
Oh, yes,
bonuses?
Absolutely, yes. So either you can choose to also make the check, or I'll give her a +1.
+1 for her.
Okay.
cool. So I'm rolling 9. So hopefully. Okay. 3 successes.
3 successes, fantastic. So as you're continuing to kind of follow Rachel as she's somewhat guiding the three of you throughout this, like on the most expeditious yet safe route, you do take note of a few more very distinct circles. As mentioned before, mushrooms are common, but seeing specific like perfect circles of them, not quite as much. As you're kind of looking in the notebook, especially since Saoirse had already showed you like essentially the map of the area, you do notice that it's starting to look like a circle.
Yeah, I will make a note of that and mention it to Saoirse as she comes back from like gathering something. Just say, I think our initial idea that this whole thing is a larger circle looks to be adding up.
Well, that's a little unfortunate when you consider the implications.
Something very, very strong or very old is in the center of this bog.
Maybe even large.
As you're starting to go
Have you found any fairies to talk to, El Guerrero?
No,
Not
I've
yet.
no.
Oh, Guerrero, could you remind me what mask you're wearing today?
If it's the same morning, it's the gold with the black
Gold one.
details and the black with gold on the other half.
Fantastic. I love that. I will say, Vera, considering you did roll some additional successes that were necessary, you do take note of some of the wildlife as well that's nearby. Now, you had specifically been already looking into rabbits, well, specifically hares, if we're being very, very specific about it. And you do notice some that are within this area. One that takes note of you, the ears kind of starting to twitch as it takes note and then starts bounding off in a different direction. You notice some small grouse as well that tend to, as soon as they be spotted, kind of meander off. There's still some activity.
Does it feel like they're afraid or watchful? Or just there?
I would say a mixture of the latter two. Watchful and just there.
Just kind of there. Okay.
Yeah, they're there, and I mean, as dependent on where you live and the animals there, they may not be entirely accustomed to wanting to be immediately nearby you, or perhaps hunters are a thing, and so they're trying to kind of just keep a safe distance.
Okay, yeah, I point this out to the group as well. And then I'd like to say thank you, El Guerrero, for helping me and keep track of all this. It's a lot to look for.
And I would say if you'd asked Rachel any more questions, very much like you said, a lot of information had somewhat already been given to you initially. Just this is new information that they're taking you to Clifton essentially for, entirely by word of mouth. They're not aware if anything's been like announced formally, printed, any obituaries been sent, but just that people talk very, very quickly, especially when it comes to something like a death.
Yeah, I guess I would ask her if she had any new information about this body specifically, because I think we didn't have a chance to talk to her too much, but I guess I would just ask, like, what are the rumors like so far?
you say, rumors. It kind of varies. It sounds like there was someone that was found with it. We don't know if that person was like taken into custody or not. Someone had mentioned that it sounded like it was someone, of like old money in the area. Potentially could, just be an old grudge because so many of them have so many secrets. Other than that, it's, I don't know, someone wandering off, being having a bit too much to drink and then finding themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I guess we'll find out more when we get there and get some more concrete details.
And so as the walk continues, the trek doesn't take you terribly longer with her aid. And as you're getting closer to the coast, as you'd kind of gone a bit further inland and back out, I would say, Saoirse, do you do a lot of traveling around the area?
I feel like I do. I'm going to go ahead and also assume that a lot of places might call for me around the area, and I travel a lot to check in on people.
As a doctor, that makes sense. So you may have come to Clifton once or twice in terms of like on work, and potentially come up into the area just because it's one of the larger locations. It's very much a tourist attraction for this area. And it's larger than Roundstone, definitely, like several times. So you've probably been to the area and have like a general awareness of your surroundings. But for Vera and El Guerrero, who are not native to this particular area, and I dare say this is your first time like coming to the specific area in Ireland, this is all new. As you're starting to get closer, you do notice that there is a lot more buildings that come into view than what you had seen in Roundstone. There are some very tall ones, as well multiple stories of like varying states of being kept, if you will, maintained, but lots of people already moving around. You do hear conversation occurring. And you can see off in the distance just a thin line of just blue as you're right near the coast at this point. But she starts heading inbound and says, it's here in Clifton. You might have better luck going and talking to, I don't know, like the constable maybe, or someone who would actually be handling any of this. Is there... Doctor, you've been here before, right?
I have, yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that, like, I can give you directions towards?
And the constable's office is still over that way, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna move.
Then we probably have enough information. And I'm, like, putting on my shoes as we're having this conversation because I went barefoot through the forest.
Oh, your poor feet. Just definitely just now taking note of that. Is that comfortable?
Well, sometimes it's the way the land vibrates. You want to make sure that you're picking up on things.
Like an earthquake?
I'm like putting away my bog satchel that we were all wearing as well at the same time. We have all these like really herby satchels on as we head into the city.
I just tuck mine like under my shirt. I don't actually take it off.
Oh yeah, I forgot we had everything like put together for specifically this. That was wonderful. But yeah, so Rachel says, I do have some friends nearby I'm probably gonna go check in with, but otherwise, I might run into you, but please try to be safe out there. Kind of glancing at the three of you. This doctor probably a bit more concerned for your well-being, especially after the shoes that we're just seeing.
Oh no, the skin of my feet is very used to long walks.
We'll be okay. Thank you, Rachel. No need to worry. Just maybe stay out of the bog, and anyone you know, if you're going to meet up with friends, just encourage them to stay in town for a little bit. And if there's somewhere you're staying, maybe you could let us know in case we have any more questions. But thank you for all your help so far.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And she'll give you information about a friend nearby, kind of the general vicinity where you could locate her, most likely. We'll try to stay within that general area. Okay. Perfect, so as she takes off, the three of you, what is the plan moving forward?
So I think, and as I'm saying this, I'm handing like this little vial around that actually has like some rose perfume in it to like cover up some of the bog smell that we've acquired. I think we should go straight to the constable. I think I can just say I want to examine the body.
As I'm covering myself in this perfume, do you know the constable well? Having a second word would be helpful.
Do I know the constable well? I don't think that's a given necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily a given. I would say that you have a familiarity. He will likely recognize you, having spoken probably more than once, consulted with them possibly, but he's not exactly like a really good friend that you...
And what was his name again?
Jack Boland.
Got it. I can at least say hi to him, see if he'll let us inspect the body.
Me being a private investigator, I could let him know this is pertinent to a case I'm currently working on. Maybe that'll persuade him. You can see.
Vera, your intelligence. Always astounding.
Appreciated. Yeah, let's go talk to the constable. Also a question for the storyteller. So I think me and Saoirse are both like in the society, like maybe officially, or like Saoirse maybe more loosely connected to them. Would I know if there's any like society members in this slightly larger little city, port city?
So while there are no formal members specifically within this location, and no like smaller chapters, if you will, here, you would know that there's somewhat of a like rumor or a mention of some individuals within this area, specifically mention of an old woman who kind of stays on the outskirts, and then you have heard some rumors in terms of not necessarily a person, but specifically of multiple families that have some connection to creatures that only Thursday's children would see.
Okay. I bring this up to our group, and I just sort of mentioned, I'm not sure about this old woman. I don't have her name, but I'm sure we could ask around town, and someone staying on the outskirts of towns probably has a bit of a reputation, so we may be able to track down some people who might be able to help us with the more supernatural elements to this case. But yeah, let's speak to the constable first and get the baseline.
Great idea. And I'm just like slowly taking my flower crown off. Jack doesn't like these.
Yeah, maybe put on a little bit more of a city face.
Yes.
I offer you my mask.
A mask?
El Guerrero, I love it, and I would love to wear that later.
I start taking it off.
I don't think we've ever seen you without a mask.
All right, so I'm gonna pull it off because she said I love it, and I would love to wear it. And under that mask, you see this beautiful golden sun in the front with a white mask.
Amazing.
That's right. I had 2 masks on.
I knew it. Oh my god, I
And the golden
love
sun,
that.
think of the Sublime Sun logo. It's like that.
Yes. Oh my god.
And the main
That's-
color is the white.
Amazing. For a second there, I thought we were actually going to see his face, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
what?
I think the look on my face was also the look on Vera's face, just like because we've been traveling together for so long and I've never seen your face like through the entire investigation. I was like, right here in town, it's like someone just taking off their pants in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like a similar expression of shock. Like, what?
So I'm just holding it out, handing it to Saoirse.
I will absolutely wear that later. And I like kind of tuck it in my bag so that Jack will not see it. You'll have to forgive Jack. He's very serious.
Cut to Vera's extremely sullen gothic face.
Well, but Vera,
Just kidding.
you're beautiful. Very serious. What I mean about Jack being serious is that he is devoid of
Fun.
yes.
Imagination, I would assume.
Yes.
That's fair. I've dealt with my fair number of constables in my line of work, unfortunately. Let's get this over with.
Fantastic. So as you start heading over towards the location where you would know to find the constable, Saoirse, it takes probably about, 10 minutes walk, and maybe giving some slight indication of like, oh, here's specific places to kind of keep in mind to Vera and El Guerrero, since this is entirely new to them as a location. You do eventually get to the office of the constable. Now, I would say as well, Saoirse, while you've traveled here to help as a doctor, you would be familiar with another doctor that is probably a contact of yours within this area, who's maybe, asked for assistance at times and been willing to give the same in return for any practitioners like on the outskirts or in different locations that aren't terribly far from this location. The doctor that you've worked with before is going to be Orla Walsh, if in case you do need an additional doctor to consult with. Now, as you do get to essentially the office where you would go see the constable, Mr. Boland, you enter and it's at this point late morning. So you do notice that there's a couple people that are already inside, kind of glancing over, nodding, kind of maybe waving a little bit as an acknowledgement of you entering in. And then there is someone who is currently speaking with a man who you would recognize as Jack. It seems like there's a bit of a sullen expression on his face. I know he's already a man devoid of fun, but if you could imagine that even more so, that's his current state. It looks like he's almost just returned. He's taking off a jacket, kind of handing it over to another individual and recounting to this person that he's speaking with of just having, and he's not being incredibly quiet about it, just having to break news to someone. But go ahead.
I think that I would very politely wait to find like that like lull in the conversation where it's actually acceptable to approach.
Okay, in which case there's a slight acknowledgement since some of the other people have taken notice, and he sees that two he does not recognize have just entered in. His voice kind of drops a little bit. He starts being mindful of his volume, and so it's a little more difficult to hear. Kind of nods. The person starts walking away, has some papers in hand, and he kind of glances over and raises up a hand. Dr. Seeligh?
Oh, hello, Constable. We were coming to town. We were told that there's been an unfortunate event. If I may be so bold as to say a murder happened and perhaps the body should be examined. I haven't been in to see Ms. Walsh yet, but we were hoping to be able to help. This is private investigator Vera Lindblom, and this is El Guerrero, an associate, and also a very helpful source of information during investigations.
Well, word travels quickly, I suppose. It seems like people know before the body's even cold. Please, come on in here. And he starts walking off to the side. You know, a very small, humble office off to the side. And he kind of welcomes the three of you in. Dr. Seeligh, please take a seat. And he notices there's additional chairs that are brought in for Vera and El Guerrero. Yeah, so I was looking into actually trying to get in contact with Dr. Walsh specifically to assist on this. She is not answering at her door. I don't think that she's currently in at the moment. It's actually been a few days since I've seen her, but I assumed she was like you, so assisting elsewhere.
Possible. Interesting.
I hope you.
Well.
Oh, go ahead.
No, Vera, of course.
I was just gonna say, I hope you don't mind us intruding on your case. It just so happened it seems that this may overlap with a case that I'm currently investigating for my client, El Guerrero. I would also be happy to offer my services to assist in this investigation if you'll have them, or at least your permission to investigate in parallel to see if any of this crosses over to what we're looking into.
Have there been some other bodies discovered? Is this
a disappearance I was consulting Dr. Seeligh about? Have you had any other missing persons? Say in the past 9 days or so?
I haven't taken any missing persons reports at all. Honestly, this is very unusual. We don't really have problems like this. I mean, of course, as those get older, I've had to go out on calls, but this is the first body I've had to respond to in a while that wasn't of age.
Well,
did you say not of age? Sorry, Vera.
Oh, not dying of old age. Yeah. I was just going to say, I have decent experience investigating murders and missing persons. I'm originally from Uppsala, and I hand him my card. I'd be happy to help any way I can.
Vera, would you make I'll have it be your choice of either inspiration or manipulation.
Okay. I'm a little bit better at manipulating people, so I'll do that.
Is there any way I can help?
Yes, how would El Guerrero like to assist in this? It could be through any type of words of affirming Vera's
you're my client,
ability.
So
I'll say that Vera is very talented while also threateningly flexing.
I'm obsessed.
Okay, I love this. Considering it's a manipulation, I like it even more. So yes, get a +1.
Awesome. Okay, 2 successes.
2 successes, okay. So as he is kind of initially listening to you recounting your experience in Uppsala, taking your card, looking it over, El Guerrero kind of stepping forward a little bit, crossing arms, flexing a little bit, I would say menacingly, as he's saying the excellent work that you've done in assisting. He kind of glances up, and it's almost like this, just out the corner of his eye, just kind of jolts back to El Guerrero, and it's this seems a bit that definitely seems like it would be helpful in this case. I'm a small operation, so please, experience elsewhere from other agencies is always welcome. You said there were some missing persons that you're investigating? This is, like I said, we haven't had any missing persons in quite some time.
Well, just some similarities in a case. Another case I'm working on in an entirely other location, but some rather pointed parallels. It just seemed pertinent that I get consultation from Dr. Seeligh. And in arriving here, we began just discussing, and I was getting some consultation from her, and then we heard about this news and sort of dropped what we were doing to help.
Okay. And Dr. Seeligh, I trust that you can vouch for your co-workers, associates here. I almost had a questioning look at El Guerrero, still not quite understanding the connection, but associates?
Absolutely. Vera is second to none when it comes to her investigative work. Trust me. Now, El Guerrero is a bit of a new companion, but he's been incredibly instrumental, especially in getting details about the case as we've been traveling.
Okay. In that case, and he stands up and he goes over to look at some notes that it seems to be taking some additional notes down as though he's trying to make sure documentation's in order. And he is going to provide you with some information. He'll let you know specifically of like the time the body was found, the previous night, the contacts that have been made so far. Specifically, he was contacted by a gentleman named Henry. Let me go ahead and get a last name for you on that. That's going to be, let's say Robertson for Henry, who had reported that he found the body. Well, he did not find the body. He found another individual who had initially located it, a man by the name of Dolan Halvorson. He is a local entertainer. According to Henry, the three of them had previously been at a party earlier in the evening, specifically for the deceased's younger brother's birthday. The notification to next of kin has already been made. Specifically, the younger brother and father of the deceased. You do get the information. The individual who has passed is Michael Moore. Next of kin were his father James and his son, or it's not his son, his brother John. There were some additional contacts. A woman known as Biddy Byrne and Eva MacKenna.
Thank you very much. May I please ask another question, though?
Of course.
You said Dr. Walsh hasn't been in. Did you say 5 days?
Oh, it's not quite that long. It's only been a few. I'd say probably I saw her 3 days ago.
Okay, and there was a note. Everything was on her door, letting everyone know where she was?
There wasn't a note on her door, no. It is locked. I've knocked, have not received a response. Done some due diligence, peered in. Nothing seems to be out of the ordinary.
Would Saoirse find that weird?
Would you make a learning check?
Yes. Okay. That is 2 successes.
2 successes. Specifically with your past interactions with the doctor, she is exceptionally good at what she does. She's a little bit absent-minded. at times. This is not unusual for her not to leave notice of when she's left.
Okay. You're right. I'm just being overcautious. You can't be too careful out there. Right?
Would you like us to, since we have Dr. Seeligh here, make an initial investigation of the body, or would you like us to wait for Dr. Walsh?
If it's okay with you, Dr. Seeligh, I'd like to probably give it until this evening. I would like to try to still get in contact with Dr. Walsh first, but time is of the essence with this, so if I'm not able to make contact with her, I'll try to reach out.
Excellent, okay. Thank you.
We'll do some asking around town, and we'll check back in with you this evening then.
Okay then, that sounds good. He's kind of just standing there, not quite giving you an indication of what to do next. Not the most helpful.
We can see ourselves out. Very sorry to the loss to your community. We'll do everything we can to help.
Thank you. And he'll kind of go back to his notes, start going through. You would notice there's not a whole lot that he's working on at the moment, but he seems a little bit distracted by this. But yes, what would the group like to be doing first, specifically?
I mean, should we investigate these folks? Or are you concerned about the doctor? Do you want to look for her?
I think Dr. Walsh just forgot to leave notice. She's so brilliant, but unfortunately, she always forgets to notify people. One time in college, she almost missed an entire exam, and I couldn't even find her because she hadn't left a note to tell me where she was. And then she just came rolling in when I thought maybe she was, I don't know, drunk in a ditch somewhere. I didn't know where she was.
Well, hopefully nothing mysterious is happening with her, and we can consult with her later. But did the constable give me the constable told us that our witness Dolan was staying with Biddy, right?
Yes, he would have given you that information, as well as anything he'd had on file for Mr. Halvorson's address, his residential address, the MacKenna's location, the area in which the body was found, as well as the address of the residence that the party had been taking place at, which is also the home of the Moore family. So specifically the deceased and his family.
Would the location of Biddy's address be like kind of on the outskirts of town? And would Aoife's last name be one of the names that might be related to society things?
Ooh, okay, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that one more time for me?
Oh, yes. Well, I previously asked if there were any society connections. I just want to know if like Aoife's last name rang any bells, or the location of Biddy Byrne. If I'm able to put anything together, as I think we just walk towards Biddy's, right? Because we know that's where all our leads are headed.
If you do choose to head in that direction, I would say you do notice pretty quickly that it's on the outskirts of town. You would have recalled the last name MacKenna does sound familiar. It's ringing a bit of a bell there. Any other last names, it may take until you actually hear him in order to recall.
Okay. What do you think, group? Just head to Biddy's?
That's fine
with
me.
Witnesses?
Works with me.
Fantastic.
Do you mind if I wait to put on the mask, Guerrero?
No, not at all.
Okay, good. Later.
Also, thank you in there. I feel like I've never had a constable take me that seriously before. I'm considering, after we solve your case, maybe hiring you on.
Well, maybe we'll think about it after we find my partner.
And we will.
Absolutely. So I would say with the address in hand, you are able to start, especially with Saoirse being familiar with this area, kind of lead you off to where the home of Biddy Byrne is located. It's a bit outside of town, so you're going well through the area, like the affluent areas, kind of going out onto the offskirts that are not maintained as well. But you do come across a very, I would say, quaint, essentially what looks like a smaller cottage within the area. Not entirely unlike Saoirse's. Definitely not having the same decorations on their front steps, however. Specifically the mushroom circles. But you are able to get to that location. Would the group like to knock on the door?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll knock.
Okay. No.
I'd imagine there would be very loud barking at this point.
There
About
would
how
be
early is it?
It's late. Late morning.
So dependent on
So you might not be there.
Okay, yeah, then I
That's
probably
kind of what
went
I was
home.
wondering. I was like, I if it's
Yeah. if
late
it's late-
enough,
Yes.
Yeah.
I
I'd
don't
be
know that
home.
Dolan would have stuck around.
Like, if this, I would think Dolan and Aoife didn't get enough sleep last night because of our bad rolls.
Are you just
there.
sleeping till noon?
I mean, that's normal for Dolan.
I'll have this be up
Maybe
to
if
the
it's
players.
10ish. What are we thinking? It's 10ish or like closer to noon?
Let's say like almost like 10:30, getting towards 11.
Yeah, because we left like sunrise
Yeah.
or like real
Yeah.
early.
But I
Then
say
I-
there's an argument that Biddy might have like made breakfast and been like, I know you all want to run off into the bog, but just eat, we'll drink tea, and then we'll figure this out.
I mean, Rory probably would have been the alarm clock.
Fair.
Yeah, Biddy could have taken him out if Aoife had ever got to sleep. But
Nope.
Biddy's probably been up since sunrise because old people don't sleep long.
So Aoife, would you probably have already made your way back to your house at this point?
I think I might have, just because of not really sleeping. I'm sure I probably left like right at dawn.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Fair enough.
Dolan.
Breakfast took for two then.
Yeah, Dolan, would you have slept in until noon?
Oh, that yeah.
Still asleep, and Biddy's already been up and about. So I would say at that point, the knock on the door, Biddy, if you are back at the residence, you would be hearing this. Dolan, you're probably starting to get stirred awake by hearing the sound of knocking.
Hearing that, smelling bacon, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. I thought I told the constable we'd be there.
No, it might be him. Hold on a moment, darling. You get up. I'll get the door.
Fantastic.
And she'll open the door.
And I think that's a great time for us to take a break. Really quick break. Let's go ahead and we'll be back in 15 minutes. Thank you all so much for watching so far, and I'm so excited for the groups to finally be together. So, we'll be right back. See you soon. Thank you so much for staying with us on the break. I guess now, let's just cut right to it. We have two parties that have been doing individual investigating versus now just starting to investigate. And now the two are meeting. Biddy, you heard a knock at the front door. Dolan, I'm going to say you did as well, and it's starting to wake you up a little bit. And you went to open the door. For Biddy's sake, Vera, Saoirse, El Guerrero, would you describe your characters?
Yeah, I'll go first. Vera is a tall, older woman. She looks to be in her late 40s, and she has like shorter, curly brown hair, little spectacles on her face, a very severe kind of gaunt features, like dark circles under her eyes. She wears pretty much all black, large black overcoat, in like sort of men's fashion. Nicer clothes, but worn and maybe like 6 to 5 years out of fashion at this point. But like well made, but just like very worn. And otherwise just very sort of simple and severe in appearance.
I'll go. El Guerrero, he's not super buff, but he's like barrel chested, very traditional wrestler look. He usually wears turtlenecks and long sleeves because he thinks he looks nice. And then his current mask is white with like that Sublime Sun logo, but pure gold.
And then Saoirse, she has sort of just like wavy, curly, wispy, very wispy hair that just kind of like hangs down wild. And she has like a bunch of very specific types of flowers like woven up around the top. And she's like, I want to say she's probably a little bit smaller in stature, probably closer to like 5'5'2", like not looming at all, sort of one of those people that just like pops up and suddenly, surprise, she's there. Yeah.
So I imagine Biddy opens the door kind of expecting to greet Jack, constable. Might even say, good morning, Mr. You're not Jack. Hello.
Hello.
No, I'm not Jack. My name's Vera Lindblom. I'm a private investigator. This is my client, El Guerrero, and the good Dr. Seeligh, who you may have seen in town before. She is a doctor in the neighboring town over. We've been investigating some odd occurrences in the next town over and heard word of a body. And we consulted with the constable. I'm assuming when you said Jack, you meant Constable Jack Boland? I turned to Saoirse. Boland? Is that right?
Yes.
And we offered our services in helping investigate this case, and the constable agreed and allowed us to conduct a parallel investigation. I hope you don't mind. I heard that you had some pertinent information to the case, and that also perhaps knew or were housing the witness to the person who found the body.
Hi, Dolan's inside. You see before you, because I was like, oh, we should do that bit too. Taller but gone to seed, kind of old woman, bent, about mid-60s, crackling gray hair, part of it pulled up and back, to keep it out of her face, and fairly piercing eyes, green with bright yellow centers. And she is suspicious as hell at the three of you, particularly El Guerrero. I thought I already had the entertainer inside. Hold on a moment, let me see if he's dressed. And she'll just kind of like close the door over a little bit and lean over and... Dolan, we have company and it's not the constable. Are you dressed?
Yeah. Hold on. Just soaking this in. What's that smell?
Make it bacon. Hopefully it's not burning. Hurry up. I want to get them in here so I can get back to the pan.
Okay. Right. Well,
Oh.
Dolan will tuck in his shirt, and he walks out, and you'll see, just a medium-sized lad, very not too messy, just clean enough, red hair. He's wearing waistcoat, and just looks like he just came from a show, because technically he just did of his performance. So just looking at the best he can, small bit of dirt stains here and there, and just looks at all of you. Wait, which one of you is? What's going on?
They're coming in. Hang on. Come on. Table's not large, but you can all squish in.
And Biddy?
And I'll just open the door, let them in, and immediately go back to the stove, because bacon and tea.
Fantastic. Biddy, could you make a
Okay,
vigilance check
who
for me?
smells like roses?
That would be all of us.
Bit of advice is less is more. Ugh.
You wouldn't have appreciated what it was covering up. We trekked here through the bog.
Oh, well. I'm certainly
Sorry,
glad for that.
let me introduce myself. You're Mr. Halvorson?
Dolan Halvorson. Yes.
Dolan.
Yes.
Vera Lindblom, PI, and I hand my card over. We're assisting the constable in the investigation.
Right.
I hope you don't
Sure,
mind.
muscle?
This is actually my client. Although he's been quite helpful in assisting with my investigation so far. El Guerrero.
El Guerrero. Right. That's good.
Spaniard.
I just shake my head no.
Great. She'll go back to making bacon.
But you and Rory will get along just fine.
And Biddy,
Sorry.
could you make a vigilance check for me?
On the bacon?
Yeah, let's say it's that.
No.
Bacon check.
I know it's not that. It'll be nice dice.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all.
Nope. Utter failure.
Failure? Okay.
Yeah.
Can I,
Tend
as we're
bacon and set the table.
as we're chatting, can I look around Biddy's house and see if there's anything that would indicate to me that she might be familiar with the society, since older woman living on the edge of town is sort of ringing bells in my brain?
So I would say you can definitely make an observation or an investigation check, the result of which I will allow Biddy to decide.
Because I don't, maybe your cottage just looks normal, but I'm looking for anything that might indicate.
How does it look?
I'm trying not to be super obvious, but I guess I'm also like just looking around your house. I'm not touching anything. Only one success. A lot of 5s in there, though. Too bad they mean nothing. I'm hoping you're distracted by cooking bacon.
I am distracted by cooking bacon. I am also sending the DM, our storyteller friend, a question, because we actually haven't discussed this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Awesome.
But
yeah, in the meantime, I think I'm just continuing to reiterate the information that I told to Biddy, to Dolan, and just sort of explain like who we are and that we're just here to help, and that we've been investigating in the town over as well. And I think I'll even mention that a hunter told us, a hunter who had been concerned about things happening in the bog, told us about the body found.
Well, that'll be Henry.
Oh, Henry? No, Rachel, actually. Maybe there's
Rachel.
another hunter we need to talk to?
Well, there was a hunter that told me about seeing something last night that brought me over to the bog, and it was for something else, but...
Henry Robertson.
Aye.
Okay. And he was the one who found you.
I, what had happened is that we were at, my friend, John, Moore's birthday party. Biddy and I were the night's entertainment, and Henry came over to me. I did tell this to the constable already, but, he let me know that he thought he saw me down at the bogs earlier, but I had not.
Saw you.
He thought he saw me, but the thing is, I've been searching for my brother for 5 years, and it's been a long 5 years, but I never stopped searching, despite constant encouragement to move on. So once I heard about someone that had looked like me, I could not resist. So
And he ran off like a fool into the bog. And here's some bacon. Would you take tea? Any sugar in that? I don't have cream this morning yet, but she just kind of interrupts purposefully, not necessarily wanting Dolan to go too much more into detail without knowing who these people are.
I think Vera will sort of look empathetically at Dolan and say, I understand not wanting to move on from something everyone else tells you should. I've begun to dedicate my life to finding people. So I certainly understand not being able to think in a moment like that. I'm sorry about your brother.
And I kind of just, for the first time, really kind of look into Vera's eyes, and I know the look because I have the same look. Hope you find what you're looking for too.
Well, unfortunately, I did find her, just not what killed her. So now I'm trying to help other people. And I sort of glance over at El Guerrero.
I'm eating a bacon.
How?
Yeah.
How are you eating a bacon?
A little slit in the mask.
Yeah, there's a little slit. It's just. I was gonna say by the fistful, but that would be like mean.
Probably not that much of it anyway.
Yeah.
By the way, to answer the earlier question, in terms of like outwards, I don't know what like there's not like a badge hanging on the wall that says member of society.
Well, yeah, obviously. Yeah.
There might be a few books scattered here and there that are things that you might find on a society member's shelf, but otherwise everything would look fairly rustic in general. I don't think Biddy would even really have anything to like maybe somewhere in a drawer like ink and a quill, something to write with.
Yeah. So nothing super obvious.
No, and certainly nothing like nothing indicative of a lot of people time in general, let alone belonging to societies.
Fair. Yeah.
Now, Dolan, as you're having this conversation with Vera, and like maintaining eye contact with her for a moment, something distracts you. Just kind of out of the corner of your eye, you start noticing some movement. It seems to be like a slight shadow that starts. As it gets into focus, you notice there's a little tiny bug that's crawling on Vera's glasses.
Are
She
you
doesn't
talking
seem
to
to
me?
take note of it. It's moving like down her glasses towards the front, closer to you.
What are you?
You okay, sir?
Do you not feel that?
Do I feel anything when he points it out?
No, you don't feel anything.
Feel what? I mean, it's a little warm in here, but I'm perfectly comfortable. It's quite brisk outside.
If I look over, do I also see a bug?
Yeah, you notice a small bug that's just kind of staying now, like right at the where the hinge would be for her glasses.
Just a little critter on your glasses there, darling, if you just swat it.
Oh. Can I see what the bug is?
Oh, as it's brought to your
Now?
attention, you kind of like swipe at it. Yeah, you do feel it within your hands. Like how forceful are you being?
I think I'm just trying to grab it because this happened before.
Yeah, so yeah,
So
you
I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, so you're able to get it and grab it. As it's brought to your attention, you do see it. You did not feel it as it was like essentially making its way towards the front of your glasses. But there's just a tiny black bug. It's the little legs on it are starting to like kind of attempt as you're holding its back to move forward, but they're just like helplessly in the air.
Anything weird about this bug? Like anything supernatural vibes about this bug, or just bug?
Let's
That I would know.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially, and I would kind of open this up to anyone who's present currently. If you're invested in looking at this bug, you are more than welcome to make a check.
It probably looked bigger to me than anyone else, like than Biddy or Vera at the moment. So
fair. I would say this could be either a learning or even an observation.
I'll do learning.
Okay.
I'm doing observation because at this point I needed 1 success.
I got 1 success as well.
Okay.
1 success.
1 success. Okay. So as you're all kind of looking at it, I don't know if you're getting any closer, attempting to really stare at this bug as it's like helplessly trying to like writhe in Vera's grasp between her fingertips. You notice as you're peering down at it, it doesn't look. At first glance, it looks like a common bug, maybe like a small beetle. But as you're looking closer, there's something off about it. You can't quite ascertain specifically what. It doesn't have like specific markings indicating anything, but it's almost like it's giving you a very uneasy vibe.
Can I tip a teacup over it, like push her hand down and like put a cup over it?
Yes, you definitely can. If you don't mind, could you have this be an agility check?
Oh God. Oh no. Okay.
Well,
Can I help her?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's on my hand. Can I like try to make it easier for her?
Yes, you
To catch
definitely
it?
can. I would give a +1 for that. And if someone else is assisting in a different way, go ahead, feel free to describe it, and we can give a bonus.
Oh.
Yeah, that additional die just rolled a 6.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay,
Yay.
fantastic. Okay, so
I think I'm sort of glancing over at Saoirse, like just curious about her thoughts, just because I know she's more familiar with Vaesen than me.
Mhm.
And another bug was found on me, like in her cottage.
So Vera, as
So,
you are, oh sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm hoping that she can like have some insight into it or something.
Absolutely. So as you are attempting to like very, very quickly just place it under a teacup and just like trap it essentially, you feel it like be like moving out of your grasp, and then you bring the cup down somewhat forcefully but not enough to damage it, and you're glancing around. You're not seeing movement outside the cup. So you believe it is successfully trapped.
Okay. Thank you for that.
That was a very strange looking creature.
Yes, indeed. Do I have like a specimen box or something I could put it in?
I would say
Or I could, if I wouldn't have one, I would ask.
I think the only
Saoirse.
box that you would have is your memento specifically.
I will not be doing that.
Okay.
I will not be mentioning that. I will not be putting a bug in that.
Fair.
What if you
I
did?
turn. I don't.
I'm imagining an urn.
It's not an urn just for for us, but it would make Vera very sad to put a bug in there. So I think she turns to Saoirse and is like, I know you were collecting herbs and things. Would you happen to have any sort of vial or small box that we could store this creature in? I would like to investigate it further.
Yes, of course. And she's like pulling different sized vials out of her bag.
Yeah. Saoirse's got just like a million different little pouches and vials and things, I would imagine.
That makes sense.
I'm sorry, your name is Saoirse.
Yes, my name is Saoirse.
Oh, sorry, I introduced her as Dr. Seeligh, I suppose.
Dr. Seeligh Saoirse. Oh, I didn't put those two together. Oh, it's that kind of morning for me. I apologize. You wouldn't happen to be friends with Dr. Walsh, would you?
Oh, yes. Dr. Walsh is an old school friend of mine and an associate.
Oh, no, she's a good person. She and I, so every once in a while we'll go on, some drinking adventures out to the
Yes,
pub.
she loves those.
Ah,
Yes.
a lot of fun. Oh. And I know
Have
we're
you
in good
seen her
hands with you.
lately?
You know, come to think of it, I haven't seen her for a while. But then again, I've also been quite busy. We only go out once every couple days.
Oh, of course,
So-
of course.
Well, I'm assuming you haven't seen her. You've been out of the other town.
Oh,
Well-
Oh, no, you, Vera, that's fine.
Oh, I was just gonna say, don't think the constable would mind. We're not too concerned given apparently Dr. Welsh's temperament, but apparently she hasn't been seen in a few days. We're hoping she turns up this evening to help us investigate the body, but if you've seen her more recently than that, that would be of great help to us.
Immediately look at Biddy.
If you don't mind, she's got like tea in hand. Is just gonna be kind of like staring at all of you. You said you were here again because of this body or because of something else?
We're here in this town because of this body. I was visiting Dr. Seeligh to consult on another unrelated case. After I arrived, she was able to help me a bit, but then we heard some word of some disturbing going on in the bog, and
the nature of
that
your
was-
investigations is usually related to
missing persons, murders, unexpected disappearances.
Is there a way to like slide the teacup over and take a look at what's underneath?
Should Vera, be okay with it being removed from her? Yes, you could slide it closer to like maybe the edge and peek under.
Or are you just trying to immediately put it in a vial?
I think I was just waiting for Saoirse to pull out a vial to put it in. I don't think I have my hand on the cup though. I'm not like holding it.
I did already bring out vials.
Were you wanting to put this in there? I'd love to take a look at it.
Yes,
I don't
that
usually
was
get a lot of pests in my cottage.
exactly my thought as well, was to be able to examine it better. Yeah, I guess I will try to scoop it into the bottle as quickly as possible.
She'll just push it back. Younger hands might as well.
Relatively young, I suppose. Yeah, I'll try to put it back.
Okay, fantastic. There's no check necessary for this. If you're attempting just to very, very quickly take the vial that's been given to you by Saoirse and just maneuver where the bug would be into it, the second that you lift it up, something seems off. And you're going through the motion until you realize there's nothing there.
Now that's very interesting.
And while that is being done, Aoife. So you left earlier in the morning from Biddy's residence to go back to your own. Is there anything in particular that you're doing for this morning period? Were you planning on returning? Checking in?
I might. I'll probably get ready, try and have a bit of a nap, and then head out with Rory to Biddy's cabin.
Absolutely. Now, Aoife, as you are attempting to take a quick nap, it's much more comfortable in your own bed, especially after the night that you'd had. You fall asleep remarkably quickly, and it feels like it's just seconds later that you're opening your eyes once more. And as you're laying down, you expect as you open your eyes maybe to have a bit of a having to wince from maybe the sun getting right into them from an open window nearby, but seeing a familiar ceiling, you do not see that. As you open up your eyes, you're seeing what appears to be a dark, dark wood ceiling, not maintained, not well kept. It's not familiar to you, and it's not well lit. As you blink and once more you open your eyes, it appears to be a little bit different. You're in the middle of a wooded area. There's mist surrounding you. Blink once more. It's as though you're seeing places that seem strangely familiar, but in the same breath, couldn't have been further away from where you are now. You hear panting nearby, and then you blink once more, and you glance over, and you see Rory smiling at you, tongue kind of out a little bit, wagging tail.
I'll give him a scritch under the ears. Well, that was disconcerting. All right, Roar, come on, let's get ready and we'll go pay Biddy a visit. Hopefully Mr. Halvorson's feeling better today.
And as you and Rory get up and start walking down the hall, down the stairs, and eventually getting outside into the street and heading down the sidewalk that you know the direction towards Biddy, would you make a vigilance check for me?
Sure.
You do get a bonus because of Rory, I believe.
Yep, +3.
Yeah.
3 successes.
3 successes. Okay, so as you're heading in the direction towards Biddy's residence, you're passing several other residences that you're familiar with, especially within your area. It's kind of the more well-to-do specifically. And you hear, it sounds at first like hushed tones, but then it's getting gradually louder and louder as you're getting closer to it. You do recognize that you are just outside of range, maybe like a block away, specifically from the Moore residence. It's across the street from you, but you do see out in front, it catches your attention. John is outside along with his father, James. Both appear to be very upset, understandably so, but James seems to be walking away from John, and John is like following him, like trying to grab at his arm, and you hear him starting to raise his voice and say, "Damn it, why do you have to just run away from this? Like, stay, like, we just lost him," and he's continuing to leave.
So John's trying to leave and James is trying to stop him?
I apologize. Other way around. James the father is trying to leave. John is trying to convince him to stay.
Good morning, Morris.
And you see that John kind of like really, really quickly turns his head. His expression is like a little bit concerned, to say the least, and glances back over at James, who's just like pulling his arm free and just continuing to walk. He's not acknowledging you. But John kind of looks at him, looks back at you, and says, "Good morning, Aoife. I'm sorry you had to see that."
It's all right. You both of you have been through quite a lot. I'm sorry about Michael.
Thank you. I don't know what I'm
will
gonna
be honest.
do.
I feel a little guilty myself about it. He was having second thoughts about the seance, and I said, that was something you needed to do, and maybe try and go distract himself. I don't know if he took it upon himself to leave then, but that was the last I saw of him before the events of last night.
You shouldn't feel guilty about that. He chose to leave. That was his choice. I know he couldn't deal with talking about her. It's not your fault, Aoife.
Right, if you say so, John. I just wanted you to know that I'm truly sorry, and if there's anything that the MacKennas can do for you, we'll do what we can.
And he's been somewhat attempting to not make eye contact with you throughout this discussion. He's kind of glancing every other which way.
Mm-hmm.
I will. Thank you.
Everything all right? Otherwise?
I don't know. It's just so much right now. And I don't know when it's going to stop.
I understand. I understand. We lost Armanda a while ago. It's just Reardon and me now. So I can sympathize with that.
It's hard.
It is. But it's hard, and then you go one day at a time until you convince yourself that you can keep going.
I suppose so. Listen, I'm gonna I should get back. He kind of like nods back towards the house. I'll speak with you later.
All right.
And he kind of nods his head and he walks towards and opens the front door, closing it behind him.
All right, and then I'll walk the rest of the way to Biddy's, doing the mental anxiety dance of, oh God, what did that mean? What did I do wrong? What did that mean? Was James upset at something I did or something that our family did? Oh God, oh God. And then walking up to the cabin.
And as you're getting to the cabin, you're hearing some voices that are inside that are not familiar to you. But you do hear Biddy and Dolan speaking as well.
I think especially with the fact that they're all wearing what Dolan had established is a lot of rose oil. I think that Rory would be getting kind of worked up at the strange, overpowering scent. And so there'd be a loud barking at the door.
So there is a bit of a disturbance out front now at this point where we had just left off. with the group currently inside Biddy's cottage. The bug is gone,
Just
but you're hearing
frustrated
barks.
that the bug thing is gone. I assume that was established, but Vera was like, "There's nothing there," and just Biddy just kind of like, "Of course this, and of course that. That'll be Aoife. I'm out of chairs at this point," and she'll just kind of go throw open the door. "You might as well come in. I'm having another party."
Right, sorry. I'm a little out of it. Didn't really sleep well last night.
It's quite all right, dear. I don't blame you. This one slept till noon. Come in. We're having a late
All right.
breakfast, and there's people to meet.
I'm gonna hitch Rory up to a post outside. All right, you stay here, Roar. If anything happens, let us know.
I imagine you visit often enough. There's like a water dish for him too.
Probably.
So Vera will just stand so that Aoife can sit.
So you all see first this large Irish wolfhound, dark, coarse browns and gray fur. And then walking in is a little bit of a heavier set woman. Earlier in her years, still in her late 20s, wearing kind of a green dress, a bit more fancy than what most people would wear, but for the old money, this is a bit more casual. Her hair is done up in kind of a large bun, fringe dangling off at the side. Thing you notice is that her hair is incredibly blonde, like a bright blonde, almost to the point of unnatural.
This is Aoife.
Hi, Aoife MacKenna.
Vera Lindblom, private investigator. My client El Guerrero, and the good doctor, Dr. Saoirse Seeligh.
Nice to meet you, Doctor. Investigator, Mr. L.
He just likes to go by El Guerrero. Just the whole thing together.
All right. Not really common to get someone's first name to be a letter, but, you know, it suits you.
We just let that go.
You're muted. Your mouth's so full of bacon, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I let it go. I chuckle a little bit. Well, I'm more distracted with the perrito, the doggy outside.
He's a very, very big boy. About the size of probably a pony. Wolfhounds are real large.
He's a cute puppy.
He is. So what brings you into our neck of the woods?
I'll do the spiel again.
Says it all.
I don't think
So they're sitting and joining us for a bit of breakfast before thought maybe, I don't know if it's occurring to them, but I would assume that's why you came out here, that things you were following. You weren't by any chance the newsletter Dolan saw in the papers, are you?
what newsletter?
There was some kind of
Could I see?
I think I still have it. Or at least I showed it to you. Did I actually give it to you, Biddy?
Oh, I don't think I took it.
Okay,
No use
yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Some listing talking about rabbits strung up on. You said you came from the other side of the bog.
Yes, that is what we were looking into, actually. Ritualistically killed and died rabbits hung above mushroom circles. And I want to just observe everyone's face when I say mushroom circles and see if anyone looks like they recognize or react in a different way.
Ooh, okay. Vera, I will have you make a observation check.
Yeah. Oh, 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay. So for each of the 3 of the other party, Aoife, Biddy, and Dolan, I will allow you to describe how your characters are reacting to the mention of it. Just bearing
Are
in
we
mind
allowed
2
to
successes.
contest that?
Yes, if you would like to, you absolutely can. So in which case, this would be a manipulation check as a contest.
Oh, that's good. That's decent. Not enough. 1 success.
2.
2. Okay.
There'll be a look of confusion on Aoife's face, not necessarily understanding the importance of that, but just kind of a like, oh, so that happened again.
Yeah, where you probably though catch Biddy looks over at Aoife, assuming the one that spotted the mushrooms might be able to put 2 and 2 together. Yeah. And then she'll look over to see how Dolan's reacting, but
I don't think I get anything from him then.
I would say, Dolan, what was your dice pool for that? And Vera, yours?
Observation, I have 6.
Okay.
Did you say? I thought it was okay. Vera was observation.
Yes, and yours was
You
manipulation.
rolled manipulation.
I rolled manipulation. My dice pool was 8.
8? Okay.
Ooh.
I'm gonna have one more roll off for the 2 of you.
Oh.
Had Dolan's been significantly less, I would have said that's a high percentage. So.
I'll add anything else. Oh, I failed. Not 1 success. I think you hide from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got 1 success.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of 4s though.
Okay, so I don't get
4s
anything.
Makes 12, which is 2 6s.
Yeah, I would say that like Dolan can describe like your intended reaction for it.
I myself don't really. I was told about the mushroom circles the night before, and I don't think I made too much of it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So once I hear about mushroom circles, it's not a humongous reaction simply because he's not thinking too much about it. It's possible that it was part of something, but his main focus was the tracks and the hooves, so it kind of makes sense that he'd give very little to, if any, reaction to the mention of the circles. The biggest reaction would be a small twinge in his eye.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's just so small that it's like Vera isn't able to. You're good enough at like schooling your face that I can't quite read that reaction. And I think, yeah, I'm mainly Vera's mainly like just trying to suss out how much of like the supernatural that you're all familiar with.
meanwhile, outside there's a schoolyard boys running past, skipping lessons. That's kind of I was gonna say that's kind of like it feels like a standoff, or that's
yeah,
just
we're
like,
both just
what
like
do you
suspicious
know?
of each other.
Yeah.
I would say though, I mean, in general, you're gonna pick up on the fact that like there's occult type objects around, whether or not familiarity with Vaesen, but at least it's pretty obvious once you're in Biddy's home. It's her sanctum. It's there are magical instruments quite literally everywhere. In fact, I was gonna say last night she probably put out the bowl of water again.
Oh,
with
I was
like
gonna...
a little candle. Just the sense of we literally just did this like ritual for the family's mother, and then the brother passed. So I think Biddy would have just done a little something.
Okay, when I did the investigation earlier to look in Biddy's home and see if she might be related to the society, I sort of meant like if there was any occult stuff.
Oh,
not necessarily like a member, but like if she's familiar with the supernatural was what I'm looking for.
Oh yeah. There's hanging herbs. There's a broom that looks both practical and ritual. There's a little table altar with like candles and black feathers and a bowl of water, kind of where you might burn other thing, like not an incense burner so much in the sense, but like almost like a little wooden tray kind of thing for burning other small offerings in. And yeah, it's a culty because people don't otherwise come in Biddy's home, so she doesn't worry about being obvious inside her house.
Cool. That's what I sort of assumed, and I wanted to like kind of suss that out. So I think maybe given that sort of clarity and having mentioned the mushroom circles, I might sort of look to Saoirse for like a little bit of like go ahead before I say anything. The doctor and I were investigating these apparent rituals. I've consulted with them before on unusual medical cases. Some would say otherworldly medical cases.
And would you say that was the kind of thing you were investigating here?
I would, yes.
Doctor, did you happen to take a look at the body?
I haven't had the chance to yet. Constable Jack hopes to have Dr. Walsh look at it. But if Dr. Walsh can't be located before tonight, I will be looking at the body.
When you do, you might have better knowledge of such things than I do. The wounds were of a mixed variety. Maybe both horns and claws. And pardon my hesitation, you might have noticed where I live. I don't really get on with most folk in town. Somewhat because of my association with things that they don't care to think about. But that we are rather confident exist in this world and in others. If you'd like, we can show you where the body was found last night, and I think it might pique your interest.
It certainly could. And you said claws and slashes. Did you see any evidence of any type of Vaesen that could have done that?
Well, there were certainly tracks and a mushroom circle.
I see.
So,
nothing, no rabbits, nothing strung up. Any wildlife in the area?
It's quite dark and we didn't do much checking. We were actually likely to head out that way, I was figuring this morning, once Dolan had a good rest. If you'd like to join us, we can go out.
I'd very much appreciate that.
Something just to be kind of clear on. The body was found on top of the mushroom circle, and it looked like it was dragged on top of it.
I see.
Very bad.
Would I have any past experience seeing something like that done to a human body?
To a human body? No check necessary. No.
Okay.
Oh. Put the dishes in the wash tub. I'll handle them later. And then Biddy's just gonna start getting her boots on and making tracks.
I collect the dishes and do my best to just do some form of cleaning as a thank you. Well, I definitely know Biddy's still pissed at me.
Just because I fed you doesn't mean you're out of the doghouse. But yeah, I'll gather my basket and otherwise just come on, we'll do the dishes later.
Yep.
Mr.
I
Halvorson,
head out the door.
Before we go, I have to know.
Hey.
What was your point of doing the seance last night?
What a great question. She'll shut the door.
What? Point of
Yeah, Vera looks over at the word seance.
It was keeping me up all night, and it boggles my mind why you thought a seance would be good for entertainment. There had to be some reason for it.
Well, look, I had forgotten that the the Moore boys had lost their mother. So I just thought, hey, maybe someone from their late ancestry would want to pop in, say what's up, and, hop back away. I had no clue.
I just
at the
want you to
time.
know that that's probably why Michael's dead. He didn't want to be there for it. I convinced him that maybe he go for a walk to clear his head.
Well, Aoife, perhaps this morning's not the one to be throwing blame around. A man makes his own choices to leave a party. He could have gone to his bedroom.
I understand. John and his father were having a spat this morning. Both of them were looking at me all kinds of funny. And I just couldn't shut my brain off over here. There's something going on. And I don't know what any involvement that any of us have with it at this point.
Well, no, you can't lay blame at his feet without laying it as mine as well. So, I'll
No,
not be having
no,
that
no.
in my own house. You can apologize to me later. We have business, and we can think about this when we're not in front of company. And now she's out the door.
I'm gonna hang back by Aoife and ask, sorry to bother, but could you tell me what they were arguing about?
I really don't know. They were. James was yelling at his son, wanting to leave. John was telling his dad that he couldn't run from this, that they have to stop running.
Did you see where
inside their manor?
James? Did you see where James went off to?
He was heading inside.
Okay. All right, just be good to keep an eye on those two. Make sure they're not wandering off into the bog as well. But let's catch up with your friend Biddy.
Oh, you all gone on ahead. I'll probably just muck this one up too.
Why do you say that?
You saw what happened.
You gave very sweet advice to a friend who was having a hard time. There's no way you or him could have known what was waiting for him in that bog.
No, but I should have known better.
Why?
I've always been on the outskirts of everything. And so anytime I get involved, usually it goes all kinds of sideways.
Well, maybe you can help us get to the bottom of it.
We'll see.
Are you all coming or not?
Go on ahead. I've got some thinking of my own to do.
All right, well, be careful if you're staying on your own.
Take Roar with you.
I don't know, I feel like you shouldn't be on your own right now. Maybe he better stay with you. He can keep an eye out.
All right. Well, good luck out there.
Then I walk out.
And as the
Dolan,
group is-
absolutely, as he's packing his things, takes a big little swig from his flask before he leaves.
And Aoife will just unhitch Rory and wordlessly just walk back into town.
El Guerrero.
I feel like on her way out, Saoirse notices like a type of dried like herb or flower or something that Biddy has that's like very, very, very rare. It's hard to find, and it looks like, maybe she's been getting a lot of the uses out of it. So Saoirse just takes a new one out of her bag and she puts it down beside it for when she runs out and just leaves.
Okay. And El Guerrero, what will you be doing?
First, I was definitely excited at the prospect of the dog following us. And then I was kind of bummed that the dog will be staying with, his master and all that. So I'm just going to follow my party out the door.
Okay.
Dragging feet.
Fantastic. So, I would like to say we've started this particular mystery with 2 groups in different locations. We had this somewhat not start initially, but we had the convergence of the 2, and now once more we have a separation. I'm interested to see what's going to happen next time. I think that'll be at the end of the session. So, thank you all so much. Thank you all for watching tonight, staying with us for this mystery. And thank you to my wonderful players. You keep me on my toes. It's fantastic every time, so thank you. I would love to have my players we'll go around the table again. Please tell people where they can find you on social media. The ones that are still in operation for the time being. Any projects you have coming up, please do any shout outs you would like to. Let's go. Let's start with Adam this time.
Hi, I'm the guilty party now. Adam Joseph Ferry, also known as Adam Turns Heel. You can find me under that name under all social media. Probably you'll see me on Mastodon or whatever's going to be coming up soon. You'll see me on Twitch as well, just playing any kind of video games. Also on the Cybernation Uncensored podcast, Mask of the Mighty, on every second Tuesday of the month, where we play superheroes, and we just had our first issue, I should say, because these are formatted in comic book styles. It's a lot of fun, and hope you can check us out there. And you can check me out, find me on the bowling lanes wherever you can. I post stuff on my bowling progress in an attempt to get back into bowling.
Nice. Next, let's go to Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. You can find me at Durnesque everywhere on the internet, or Durnesque-esque on Tumblr, because I've been there the whole time. If you're in Burbank, California, you can find me live tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at the Roguelike Tavern, doing a pub sing. It is our thanks singing show, so it's gonna be nerdy, dirty, and vaguely Thanksgiving themed, as in we're gonna sing about the food you eat and kind of nothing else about the holiday. But yeah, it's a good time. Those shows are through Pick Your Poison Productions. We also do a live D&D Rumble PvP style battle royale, and all of those get filmed and put on YouTube, so you can follow Pick Your Poison Productions if you're interested in any of that.
Fantastic. Let's go over to Isabel.
Hi, I'm Isabel. You can, find me watching Twitter burn down, and also on other social media at Isabel is okay. I don't know where I'm gonna be after that. You can check out my Instagram, I guess. I don't really post on there except for this show. So I don't have anything coming up, but I just did a fun little one-shot fundraiser over on Madeline the Rogue's Twitch channel, Keeping Up with the Kobolds. So the VOD is up if you want to watch an all kobolds cat fest, just an absolute drama fest. We were raising money for the Transgender Law Center, so our fundraiser is over, but I definitely encourage you to donate and just enjoy the drama.
Perfect. And Kelsey.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelsey. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me at Tombs and Tomes. And if you're looking to see me stream again, tomorrow, for instance, on the initiative order, I stream with the Symbarum crew.
Awesome. And Fluffy.
Muted. Hi, I'm Fluffy. You can find me until Twitter burns down at Fluffy Snowfall. I'm also starting Mastodon, so Fluffy Snowfall at dice.camp. And for projects I'm working on, you can find You Will Be Missed podcast on most major podcast apps. It's a D&D Ravenloft adventure. We just had our first episode go live this week.
Oh, fantastic. I have to listen to that one soon. And Allan.
Hi, I'm Allan. You can find me at robo_EP on Twitter and TikTok, and robo.ep on Instagram, where I only really post about my hobbies.
Awesome. And I guess I'll kind of round it out. Hello, I'm Bree. You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter for now, I guess, at Brianna Flame. I'm trying to get back on Tumblr. Wow, is this like 2009 or something? I feel
wild.
like way out of it. Back into Tumblr days. Aside from that, I'm typically here on the initiative order behind the scenes most times. I do have some stuff coming up. I can't quite talk about it yet, but follow me on socials and it'll be some pretty cool stuff. Aside from that, I do want to give quick shout outs to our awesome sponsors. So we do have some wonderful sponsors who give us some discount codes for us, our community members, to use to get discounts on some pretty fantastic product. I know that sounds biased, but I have purchased from them and I love them. So we're going to go ahead and start with Session Zero Clothing. Session Zero Clothing is some awesome like TTRPG inspired streetwear, very, very soft shirts. Highly recommend. And they gave us a discount code. If you use the code ORDER at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order. Next up, we also have Norse Foundry, fantastic artisan dice makers. If you use the code INITIATIVE at checkout, you will get 10% off your order. After that, we also have Mithril Armory, because we really like dice here. Another awesome dice making company. If you're familiar with the Tin 20s sketch dice, check them out. We also have a discount through them. If you use the code ORDER at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order. And last but not least, one of our very own game masters, the fantastic Eldritch entity herself, Taryn, aka Valrook, makes some fantastic dice. If you go to look at Umbral Oculus dice specifically, you can get 10% off a dice set if you use Initiative at checkout. But aside from that, I'm really excited to see this wonderful group of people in 2 weeks. So we'll be back with the next chapter of The Verge of the Azure Sea. Until then, have a great night.
Mm-hmm.